Greetings, so this is going to be a really raw and vulnerable, authentic update on where I'm at spiritually, because I feel like this spiritual journey can be so in depth and you go through many changes, many evolutions, many realizations, many ego deaths, or many times when you go deep within yourself and you just keep going deeper and deeper. And it's good to change and to grow and to go with these flows. I think that's really important on our spiritual journey, because sometimes we can get really stuck and feel like we need to be doing a certain thing. Sometimes we have this expectation of what spirituality is supposed to look like and what we're supposed to do to be a spiritual being and things like that. And it's really important that along your journey you discover that you need to remove these expectations that you have, that you've set upon yourself, that you might have picked up from society or spiritual communities or other spiritual people. Just because you see another spiritual person, whether they're a guru, whether they're high up there and they're teaching to hundreds and thousands of people, it doesn't really matter, because your journey is your own. And it is so important for you to remember that. It is so important for you to put that at the forefront of your spiritual path, and remember that everyone else is just a reflection and everyone else is just an idea. You can pick up tools and ideas from everyone around you, from everything around you, from nature around you, but it's really important to stay true to yourself, stay grounded within yourself, and understand that this path is for you. This is a time for you to be called to your highest timeline, to become your truest, highest, best self. And if you believe in your higher self concept, then it is time to start embodying that energy. It is time to start embodying God conscious energy within you, regardless of what type of niche under spirituality that you are under. That is what I feel is the ultimate goal, or the ultimate true alignment to ourselves, to soul, to spirit, to universe, to consciousness, to life. So over the last year or so, I had gotten into witchcraft as a part of my spiritual path. Now, witchcraft can mean so many things to so many different people. There is so many variations of it. It's in so many different cultures and things like that. So this is obviously my experience. This is not to say that, witchcraft is bad, or that, there's a right and a wrong way of doing anything. This is just my path and what I went through. So over the last year, I became really into witchcraft. I was doing spells, I had money balls, I was practicing with the energy of witchcraft. Now, I wasn't working with any specific deities or anything like that, because to me, again, I only dabbled within witchcraft, and there was something that kind of almost stopped me from, working with deities and things like that. And it was just the fact that I always felt like it wasn't necessary. Now, again, I'm not saying that if you work with deities or whoever else, or other gods, goddesses, whatever it is, that, that's bad or that's not in alignment to you. You have to follow your true path, what feels right for you to do. For me, it just didn't feel right. It felt like, I didn't feel like it was necessary. I felt like I could connect straight to spirit, to God, to consciousness, to source, whatever it is that you like to call it. And honestly, I'm still finding my name for it. I don't know what I feel comfortable calling it. I recently, again, started calling it God. And obviously I don't mean God as in a religious God. I don't mean a man in the sky. I don't mean as in one person controlling everything. I mean God consciousness. But we'll dabble into that into another video. So the witchcraft that I was practicing was a lot of like earth magic, I guess, witchcraft. I was working with nature, connecting with nature, which is something that I'm so grateful for, and something that I feel like really deepened my connection to nature in a way that I probably wouldn't have if I didn't dabble into that path, because I really understood the elements of every aspect of nature. And that every aspect of nature has a purpose, and whether you want to assign meaning to that purpose, or whether you feel like that purpose is already given or already planned out, then that's up to you. but it is a beautiful practice to connect with nature and to understand that, you know, everything has energy. Now, on my path, I, you know, encountered people who did baneful work, things like curses and hexes and things like that. Now, that's something that never really aligned to me. I don't really align with calling it karma, because karma, you know, usually comes more from Sadhana Dharma or Hinduism, and it's not something that I fully believe in the same concept, but I believe in it to some degree, and it just felt like it wasn't my place to ever put that upon another human. Now again, if that's what feels right for you to do, I'm not here to judge you. Now, how I kind of truly came out of this, now over the last few months I've been really connecting to myself more, connecting to God consciousness, to spirit directly a lot more, and I had been feeling for quite a few months now not feeling a need to do these things, not feeling a need to turn on my candles, not feeling a need to, you know, do the practices I thought I felt like I needed to do. And I got like a really big, abrupt, I guess, awakening, in the sense that I had a falling out with a friend. Now, this friend is a beautiful soul. She's a witch, and, you know, she made, you know, things. And one of the things that I used to use every day was a protection oil. And, you know, I put that on and I would say I am protected, and I would, you know, embody that protection energy. And when we stopped being friends, it was honestly a really hard time for me, and I'm trying really hard not to get emotional about it, because that's not the point of this video. Sorry, it's someone I really loved. Anyway, when we stopped being friends, I stopped using the protection oil, because honestly it was just really painful to, you know, use and see stuff from her. So I stopped using it, and with that I got to this point where I was like, well, what am I doing for protection? Like, you know, when I'm going out, I'm not feeling protected, or whatever it is. And I sat with myself, and I went into deep meditations with myself over and over again about this, and I came to this realization, and I guess you could call it a message or a download from God, spirit, and it was that I am divine, and that, you know, if God is within everything and everything is all connected, then I am part of God, and I am divine. I am divinely protected. I don't need to put on a protection oil to be protected. I don't need to put on, I don't know, a beauty oil to feel beautiful, or whatever it is. Now, again, this is not to say that these practices aren't beautiful. If you like a physical, tangible practice, then I understand. That's kind of why I used it, and it just felt like something that I was just like a tangible, I don't know how else to explain it, like something that's just like feels physical and can sometimes feel like you're connecting to that energy. But at the end of the day, what I feel is truly important is that energy, is that intention, is that alignment that you have, is that core belief. If you truly believe that you are protected, then why would you feel the need to put on something to be protected? And that's when another huge rude awakening happened for me, where I really stepped away from feeling like I needed to do these practices, like truly feeling like I needed to do these practices, because I was still holding on to them. I think I still had some, you know, beliefs that I needed them. And it was something that was a really huge awakening for me, to step away and recognize that, you know, all these practices, they're tools, they're beautiful things. And if you feel aligned and called to them, of course, use them, go for them, you know, whatever it is, whether it's smoking your house, whether it's, you know, using simmer pots, things like that. Like, there are still things that I'm going to be doing because I like the tangible thing to them, and sometimes it just feels good, it's fun, like it's a part of like the human experience, I feel. But for me, it was really important to understand like my true divinity within myself, and it was a huge wake-up call, and I feel like I have shifted so much since I've come to these realizations. I think it's important, again, to remember that there is no right or wrong way to be a spiritual being. Like, you already are a spiritual being. Every human, whether they're even aware of it or not, you know, as you could say, the sheep or people that aren't awake, whatever it is, they're still spiritual beings having a human experience. They're just not as aware of it, or they're not having the same perception as you or I are. And even you and I are having different, completely different spiritual experiences of this human experience as well. So I don't think that anything can ever take away from you being a spiritual being. I think every single human is a spiritual being, just encasted in this human meat suit, and we're just having this human experience. I think so many times on our spiritual path we can get lost. You know, we see what other people are doing and we think that's the right thing to do. You know, you feel like you need to wear the white linen or have dreadlocks even, or like whatever else it is, you know, go to retreats, do plant medicine, do witchcraft, you know, do this, give offerings, you know, use sage, whatever it is. Like, we always feel like there's something that we need to be doing because we observe it from other people, and our brain, which is usually our ego side, makes us feel like we need to do these things because it's like, oh, we see someone else doing it and we're like, oh, they're doing it, I must do it too, because like they're a spiritual being. Especially if it's someone that, you know, you might look up to, someone that might have even like hundreds and thousands of followers, or someone that's like a teacher or a leader or something like that in the spiritual space. Sometimes we feel like, well, they're doing that and they're doing something right, so like maybe that's something that I need to be doing. And again, it's beautiful to get ideas from everyone else. Everyone else is just a different perspective. It's just another tool that we can get ideas from. And again, if they feel cold to you and you feel like they light you up and they feel good to you, then of course, you know, explore that, dabble in that, because that can be so juicy and it can be so beautiful and it can be so transformative, and it might be exactly what you need in your path. And it might only be for a short period of time. You might feel really called to do this one thing, and then after a while you grow out of it, or you evolve, or you change, whatever it is. And that is so normal, and I think that is something that we really have to allow ourselves to do on this path. Because honestly, I feel like that's the only way to true alignment within ourselves, because we're never going to know until we dabble and we explore and we flow. And there is no ultimate goal. There is no ultimate enlightenment that happens that you're like, you reach this point and you're like, I'm done. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm healed and that's it. I've got nothing else to do. I'm perfect. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't believe that you can't reach a state of enlightenment. I believe that, you know, we all are able to reach this point of enlightenment, but I don't think it's what a lot of people perceive it is. It's not this point of view where you get, you know, up there and you're just done, you know, like you're so aware of everything and you're just perfect and nothing ever goes wrong or anything like that. I think to me, enlightenment just means that you become aware of yourself. You become aware of God consciousness. You become aware of the universe, of spirit, of the cosmos, of everything, of who we truly are, of the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I think that's what awareness is, or enlightenment is. And I think that there's so many different stages to that. Like, if you would have asked me a few years ago, I would have said that I had already reached that point. But again, I've only gone deeper and deeper and deeper within myself ever since then, to the point where I've realized that it's always going to be a journey. Like, there isn't an end destination. And that's just because we're infinite, multi-dimensional, multifaceted, spiritual freaking beings stuck in a meat suit. And I also don't believe that time is linear. I don't believe that time is anything outside of now. And I think everything is all happening now. All parallel universes, all past lives, all present lives, all future lives are all happening within the now. And it's our perception or our awareness of consciousness that makes us feel like time is linear. Now, for where I'm at my journey, of course, this isn't going to be where I'm going to be forever. I could have a whole nother huge awakening in who knows how long time. And I, again, think that is beautiful. And I've really learned to go with the flows and just really trust my intuition and flow. And that's something that I feel like every spiritual being needs to understand and really truly master. Because once you flow with yourself, once you flow with your intuition and you allow yourself to be guided by your intuition, you're gonna feel so fucking aligned, like so fulfilled and aligned with your soul and your soul's purpose. You know, even if not everything is all smooth and dandy and happy and joyful all the time, but you will feel so much more empowered by following your own intuition and your own guidance. Like, for me, I just had a beautiful conversation with a friend about this, about the fact that I was stepping away from, you know, other practices such as, you know, witchcraft. And the way she explained it was really beautiful. It was like, you know, that sometimes it's just like we don't need that middleman. And that's kind of like what I felt like, you know, working with other, you know, deities, or, you know, worshipping or becoming devotees to these other deities was almost like, for me personally, a waste of my time and energy, because I felt like I would want to connect straight to source, straight to spirit, straight to God. And that was something that really empowered me to continue to do that, was the messages and the downloads and the fulfillment and the alignment I felt from just staying true to myself and connecting straight to the source, straight to God. Like, I questioned a lot about witchcraft, because a lot of witches, you know, they're kind of struggling financially, and it made me think, like, why is that? You know, if all of these witchcraft things are true and real, and, you know, if we can manifest and bring in things through that realm, then why are so many witches struggling financially? And it really made me question so many things, like even with curse work and things like that. Like, I've known people that have cursed people that obviously they didn't, you know, die straight away, nothing happened. And, you know, when I ask them when it comes to like money and things like that, it's usually like, well, you know, you don't get to like control everything. It's like up to, I guess, like spirit to how to bring it to you and things like that, and like how to make it be created in your reality, I guess, if that makes sense. And then for me, that was kind of like a understanding that, okay, well, there is this divine power, there is this other consciousness, there is this other power that we don't have control over, that, you know, we can't, even though we can manipulate energy to a degree, we don't get to control it. We don't get to bend physical reality to whatever we please, just because we work with certain energies or certain deities or certain goddesses or whatever it is, because otherwise it would all be true. Like, it made me think, like, how many witches would have cursed like people like Trump, or I don't know, other horrible people in this world. Like, so why hasn't that come into fruition? Because there would be a lot of people, I feel like, that would have wanted, a lot of people did, honestly, a lot of people did, and it doesn't happen. So why is that? And then, you know, witches will say it's because they're very protected by something. But what if they're not? What if they're not spiritual? What if they're not witches? So what is their protection? At the end of the day, again, like, it made me realize that it's not my place to create order in this world, if that makes sense. It's not my place to ask, you know, a certain deity to bring me money, or, you know, certain plants even to help me bring me money, or whatever it was. And I don't know if that's just because a lot of witches have, you know, this like limiting beliefs and mindset when it comes to specifically finances. I feel like this is one thing that I really experienced within the spiritual community, is like this need to be humble. And sometimes I feel like it comes from our ego. It's almost like we want to show people how humble we are and how much we're still struggling, but still helping people at the same time, so that we can appear like we're a good person, so that we can appear like someone who is, you know, caring for humanity. And I'm not saying that it's bad for, you know, people that are struggling to still donate and to still, you know, raise funds for people, because it's amazing. Of course, it's beautiful and every little thing helps, of course. I'm not saying that it's anything bad. But I do want to mention the fact that there are people out there who aren't spiritual, who are horrible people, whatever, that donate, you know, millions and millions of dollars. And that will be more than any little humble witch will ever do in their entire lifetime, because they are just stuck being this, I need to be humble, I need to be perceived as a good person, and I'm afraid of making money, because if I make money, that suddenly makes me a bad person. And I realized that was one thing that was really keeping me stuck. And it wasn't necessarily just about money, but it was about success. It was about like really feeling empowered and like putting myself out there. Like, I almost felt like it's kind of one of those things, like, we want people to be empowered, right? We want women or whoever to have confidence, as an example. And then once that woman or whoever has that confidence, we almost go, ooh, that's too much. Or like, you know, we almost get like intimidated by that energy. And I felt that was like the case with me, like when I was like more humble, more like starting and like more afraid and shy, and like I would tell people that to like put myself online, or like, you know, to make art, or to, you know, make my creative outlets into my business. I felt like there was a lot of support. And then once I dabbled into really being empowered and being like, fuck yeah, this is my calling, like I'm really strong in this, and like, you know, raising my prices, it was kind of a bit of a backlash in the sense of like, well, now you're not accessible to everyone and things like that. And I'm not talking like spirituality being accessible, or like, you know, healing being accessible to the average person, because I think everyone deserves to have the ability to do that. But I was talking about like my creativity, my art and things like that, that, you know, is my outlet of creating money. And I almost felt like I was really holding myself back from creating money, from putting myself out there and actually making myself successful, because I was being held back by my own limiting beliefs and my own fear of the judgment from these people around me that always made me feel like I had to be small, I had to be humble, because that's what made me a good person, you know, me still helping people even though I was struggling. And there's this beautiful lady that I started watching on TikTok recently. Her name is Nike, and she talks about this in one of her videos, where she talks about people that are trying to give while they're struggling. And it's still good, it's still beautiful, but you're only going to be able to give a limited amount because your cup is not full, you're not overflowing, right? You've got a little bit of water in your cup and you're trying to give that out. And again, that's still a beautiful thing. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But when you focus on you and you fill your cup up and it's overflowing, you're going to be able to give so much more. And that's something that I have a vision for. That's something that I am striving towards, because when I am a multi-millionaire, I am going to be able to help so many more people than I could ever by staying where I am, or staying where I was, I should say. Because again, like I said before, these people that, hey baby, sorry, there's a thunderstorm out right now, so my dog's a little bit scared. I feel like so many people in the spiritual community, the witch community, whatever, you know, they hate on these multi-millionaires and things like that. And they don't recognize that those people will donate more than they could ever dream of even obtaining in their life. And you can perceive it as good or bad. I'm not saying that, you know, everyone that donates that's millionaires are good people, because obviously that's not true at all. But that money is still going to people in need. Well, at least that's what we hope so, but we don't really ever truly know. However, I mean, there are celebrities like Billie Eilish that just donated like $11.5 million. And I think it's just that we have this concept of like being a good person means you're small. You know, these people who have millions and millions of dollars can't truly be good people, because like, why would you ever have that much money when there's so many people struggling? Which is a valid point in a sense, but at the same time, how are you helping people when you're still struggling? How are you serving humanity when you're still suffering? It doesn't mean that you can't help humanity or that you can't serve humanity at all just because you're suffering, or just because, you know, you're struggling financially or whatever. But it's about what feels right for you. Because for me, I want to be able to hand out millions of dollars. I want to be able to walk on the street and just give people money, like a lot of money. And that's something that feels like a fuck yes to me and my journey. But if you're not, like, it's kind of like that concept of healing yourself, working on yourself so that you can be your best self, and then that way that light shines and radiates onto other people. It helps more people doing that. This doesn't mean that you have to be like fully healed to be loved or anything like that. It's just understanding that when your cup is full and overflowing, you are going to be able to help so many more people than when you've got a few drops in your cup and you're trying so hard to help others. I feel like on this path, the spiritual path, we truly find our alignment or our purpose once we do that. Once we focus on ourselves, once we heal within ourselves first, and we start actually embodying and practicing and coming into alignment with who we truly are, with our divinity. Because a lot of people on the spiritual path will be like, I don't know what my purpose is, I don't know what this is, you know, I don't know what to do. But when you focus on you and you focus on, my gosh, it's getting so dark outside. When you focus on you, that is your true power. That is your true calling. And from there, you are going to be able to pour out onto others in a way that you never dreamed of. You're going to feel your alignment. You're going to find your purpose. And it might not be in the way you thought it would be. And it might not be how you wanted it to be, but it's going to feel amazing. It's going to feel like your true alignment. It's going to feel like your soul's purpose. But that only comes once we've focused on ourselves, once we've done the work ourselves, once we've started embodying that energy ourselves. Anyway, take care. Remember your true power, your divinity, and I'll see you in the next video. Blessings.